Welcome to the Tech on Toast podcast. My name is Chris Fletcher and I'm your host. Tech on Toast simplifies the way you buy and manage your hospitality tech. Do you need help untangling your tech? Head to our website, techontoast.community, and grab yourself a free tech audit. Find your next tech solution on a marketplace, attend our events, or simply say hello. We're here to help support the industry into the next generation. This podcast is brought to you today by Square. Picture this, all the tools you need to run your business seamlessly managed under one roof. From point-of-sale software and hardware to payments, Square's first-party solution integrates it all into one single dashboard. Beyond that, Square also offers team and inventory management, gift cards, and tools that will help you drive loyalty programs and marketing campaigns. So in a nutshell, Square streamlines your operation by pulling everything together under one roof as a single source of truth, helping you save time. Whether you're running a restaurant, cafe, bakery, bar, pub, or club, Square helps you simplify the way you do business and take payments. Square is trusted by over 4 million businesses globally. Get 20% off Square with Tech on Toast off countertop hardware with promo code SQUAREUK20. Visit square.com to use the promo code or to request to speak to one of our sales team. Enjoy the show. Welcome, everybody. Welcome back to the Tech on Toast podcast. And this week, we're delighted to be joined. This is take two for Mo. This is Mo Fayed, founder of Grub Tech. Mo, how are you?
I can't complain. How are you, Chris? Super excited to be on the stage again.
No, lovely to see you. And for people who don't know you, Mo, or don't know Grub Tech, where are you guys based?
We are based in Dubai, but we actually have 6 offices. Barcelona for our European headquarters, Egypt for our shared services, Sri Lanka and Turkey, and Dubai and Saudi Arabia. So we are growing.
I feel like you live on a plane, Mo. Are you on a plane a lot at the moment?
I do. To see all my colleagues requires about a 10-hour radius between the continents.
Well, it looks like it's paying off, mate. Obviously, it's going really well. Tell us a little bit about you, Mo, before we get into the product. What have you done in your previous life to get to this point?
Sure. So nothing exciting, to be honest with you. I'm a retailer, which is a little dull. I worked for big box department stores like Macy's, Bloomingdale's, stateside, and then I came in Dubai in early 2008 to help this organization secure the rights to Bloomingdale's, the first Bloomingdale's outside of the U.S. And I sat as a senior vice president of merchandise planning for about 7 years, but the tech itch was inconsolable, and I begged and prodded with my board to give me a little bit of money and alongside my colleagues and help me build a digital company. I was obsessed with what omni-channel means back in the early 2000s, and you see digital platforms coming online, a lot of mobile phone penetrations, and everybody putting their heads into their phones longer than usual. And I wanted to do something exciting around that space, so I led a company called Altair Digital, which was part of the big conglomerate that is Altair Group, and we set out to take digital footprints of really cool brands like Mamas and Papas, Gap, Bloomingdale's. And my shining achievement really was around being a part of this Unas story, which ended up being one of the region's largest luxury marketplaces, and it was super, super fun. I spent about 8 years or so in that world, and it was incredible, which kind of laid the groundworks into what Grub Tech is all about, which is omnifying brick and mortar operations for hospitality.
I love that. And that's such a seamless intro there. Perfect. And because the product is super exciting, right? And your growth has been as exciting, I suppose, over the past, would I say 2 years, 3 years, really, where it's really kind of exploded? 5 years.
Yeah. It's been, we started a company 5 years ago, but 6 months, 4 months after we started the company, COVID, was the big thing. And obviously that put digitization into hyper mode, and particularly for restaurants where dine-in and social distancing was the norm at the time, they really had to pivot really quickly to get into what it means to multi-tenant across different platforms, have their own direct-to-consumer applications, and all that mumbo jumbo. And the company started to get a lot of calls from really big names. And I'll be frank, man, the first set of clients, we were half-baked product at the time. We're building in lockdown and never really saw the light of day in the kitchen until we were able to get out of lockdown.
Wow. And in essence, if I'm tuning in, I'm listening to you for the first time or watching, can you give us your best pitch for what Grub Tech is? I suppose because the product is, I was getting a bit an extra demo the other day from someone, and it's expanding brilliantly. And can you tell us where you started off on kind of what it does, and then we can get a bit further into it?
Sure. So, we took a look at the life cycle of an order, right? From the time a restaurant decides they want to be on a digital platform, let's call it Deliveroo or Uber Eats or Glovo or any of the big guys. How do I manage my menu? How do I create my modifiers, my pictures, my titles, my descriptions? How do I propagate all that stuff out there? And inversely, how do I take an order and punch it into my point of sale so that my kitchen can prepare and ultimately dispatch that order? So we mapped each one of these steps, let's say, and figured out where the manual processes are and where we can bring technology to help automate that. So if you take an order from the time it is set, or a menu from the time it's published to the time an order is received, to what happens in the kitchen, to what happens in the dispatching section, and ultimately with a 3PL or a rider, and how do you wrap that up with the analytics and reports that you need to be able to optimize that business revenue even further.
Yeah, it's huge. And what's really interesting is that some of your clients are huge, right? You deal with some really big enterprise type clients. And I think a lot of the issues people face is that scalability piece when they're working. So anyone who doesn't know, enterprise is a large chain, I suppose, in other words. But people struggle with scalability, especially with tech, because some of the legacy tech and some of the previous people before you potentially may not be able to cope with that. How did Grub Tech get around that? Because that is a big issue for these big guys, isn't it?
It is, and you're 100% right. We're proud to be servicing the likes of Burger King, the likes of Domino's, the likes of Subway, and
I thought I'd let you name drop. Yeah.
Oh man, of course. I take every opportunity to plug. I kid.
You do.
I kid. But the reality is, you're 100% right. A lot of these decisions were made many, many years ago. The hardware and the software just did not keep up with the times. And we were quite conscious in how we developed our solution to avoid a big capital outlay for a restaurant to change. Hey, I got to change every machine. I've got to manage the change management and the training and the staff on how they do it on Monday morning versus Tuesday morning. And we built around it. We took what was already there, which sadly to say didn't meet the needs of the time. And we built around it to give it all the muscle it needs to be able to cope with today's demands and customer expectations. And, in most cases, we just come in and bolt on top of what you have.
Great. And that's some of the, I mean, you mentioned CapEx there. It's a big issue, isn't it? I was doing a quote for someone the other day who was changing a POS, and the CapEx alone, this is a single site with something like in UK, £15,000, right? To put in 4 or 5 new terminals, So you're already getting into that kind of cost in a single site. Imagine that over an enterprise business. It becomes really, and it really gets into their heads around decision making, right? Whether they actually have the passion to do it. And I think being able to kind of plug into existing stuff, or literally, as you say, bolt on is a really unique way of doing it.
Absolutely. And you also have the data migration, right? So your point of sale is the center of your universe. So all your data for as long as you've had that point of sale, whether it's your revenue, your modifiers, your menus, is there. And to have that, transform and get injected into a new point of sale and try to make sense of where you are. And nobody really wants to start from zero at that point. So we took note of all these things as we were building our solution to make sure that we kind of hug what you have on the counter, but also give it the right arms and legs to do what it needs to do for you.
And you're not only powering bricks and mortar or people from bricks and mortar, you also work with these cloud kitchens, aren't these guys who actually also had a huge boost through the pandemic because of the nature of people being able to eat out was through cloud kitchens, but it hasn't gone away, right? Is it? It's still a booming business.
It really is. I mean, I would say, a couple of our biggest clients are still cloud kitchens. They run plus 800 different sites, and I say stations as sites, because if you think about a cloud kitchen, and amongst them is actually Delivery Hero's own cloud kitchens, right? And in our part of the world, that would be under the banner of Talabat, and in Southeast Asia, that would be Food Panda. And we were lucky to have them as a client, and they were instrumental in guiding our thinking and how we build our tech to cope with this multi-brand single location. And honestly, Chris, it wasn't limited to cloud kitchens, because a lot of these restaurants quickly figured out that, hey, I've got the supply chain, I've got the oven, the fryer, the pizza oven. Why don't I create another brand that I can cook out of the same location?
Well, these virtual brands, isn't it? That's what they call them, right? They're building these virtual brands off the back of their own footprint.
Absolutely. So we started, a couple of my favorite restaurants are part of our install fleet. And, I've got one guy who's running 6 different virtual brands out of one location. And the actual sign on the door says salad, but in the back, they make everything from poke bowls to wraps. And it's been hugely successful for them. You're monetizing a lot of your fixed costs, like your rent, your manpower, and obviously, your supply chain and your stuff. So it's been a good strategy for those who've mastered it. And we help enable that. And the short of how is, look, if you have one brand and you're hosted across 3 platforms, let's call them Just Eats, Uber Eats, and Deliveroo, that's 3 tablets, right? But if you have 2 virtual brands in addition to your principal brands, 3 brands, 3 tablets, that's 9 gizmos going off and, lunch and dinner service, and it's just not manageable.
And you guys pull it all into one. So if I'm an operator, I'm standing there, I'm looking at one stream of orders coming through. Doesn't really matter which brand it is, actually. It's just one. Obviously, I know what I need to make, but it's coming through in one stream, one tablet, or however it's delivered. And also in terms of managing your menus, I'm guessing, is it one touch back then? So if I want to remove an ingredient from multiple menus, I can do it in one go?
Absolutely. So let's say you ran out of rice as you're preparing a meal, and you deactivate rice. Now, rice as an ingredient across all your menus would knock that menu item offline, or snooze it, as we would call, across all your aggregators, regardless of brand or whatever. And that's just one configuration. I mean, if you decided, hey, just knock it out only in the brand that I ran out of rice in, that's also quite doable. But yeah, the intent here is no additional manpower, no additional complexity to your kitchen to continue to fuel your growth. That was one of our North Stars.
Yeah, and I think often with tech, it's hard to prove ROI, right? It's always, people always say, the website will save you this amount of time and this, but actually with this product, visibly you can see, whereas there might be someone punching in orders all day from delivery or whatever into a POS or whatever it might be, into separate tablets. Now you've got this one place, one time, one hit, one change. The time saving must be huge, plus the ability to go and drive new business through new revenue streams that you didn't have before through multiple menus. So yeah, it makes total sense.
Absolutely.
And what about integrations? Because obviously you guys, to do this well, I suppose you have to integrate into a whole world of products, or have the ability to do it. Is that kind of a big part of your makeup?
It really is. I would say the biggest division within our engineering team, and we've got an outsized engineering team by way of just the size of the company. To give you a flavor, it's north of 100 engineers, product and UI guys, on a company that is only 160 people strong. So it tells you that we're super overpenetrated with engineering, and the bulk of it is on integrations. We were maniacal on a couple of things. When we do an integration, it's never half-assed. Okay, right. We take advantage of every event, every API, every pipe available downstream, upstream, to make sure that you get the same.
Can you explain that a bit more, Mo? Sorry to interrupt you, because I think integration is a really, for my customers, a lot of people say, oh, but they integrate. But I'm putting my fingers in the air. There's an integration, then there's an integration, right? There's a different in quality in terms of what data you can get. Can you just explain a bit further around what a great integration looks like?
Absolutely. So, an integration, for all intents and purposes, is a pipe of information between system A and system B. But information comes in multiple events, right? Like a timestamp for where the driver is, the ETA of the driver to your location, i.e. from Uber Eats, the time, the notes of the customer, special notes that they put on the bottom. And most integrations are two-way. You're able to push upstream to system B, and system B can reply back to you in system A. Without mentioning names, when people claim they have integrations, they do it so fast as a result of obviously demand and or just trying to get the product out, that they do the minimum viable integration, right? So you won't get, hey, where's your API for allergens or publishing macros or that? It's not there. Does it need to be? Well, yeah, you can get away without it, right? Because it's, your orders are flowing in, it's good enough, right? But that's not our approach. When we put our hands on an integration, whatever it is, our approach is to exhaust every possible piece of information moving from system A to system B through our pipes, so that you don't have to worry about any parity issues down the road. And subsequently to that, we also extremely invested in redundancies. So I'm super proud to say that our uptime for 2024 is 100%. Our uptime for 2023 is 100%. And in 2022, we had a 5-hour outage because it was super hot in London. What?
I have to laugh because I met with Gus, who's one of your guys, and
Yeah.
he literally was moaning about his 0.1 outage 3 years ago.
Oh, because we're pissed.
Yeah, that was still in his head, and you're doing the same. But it just shows that I think it's you should be really proud of the fact that your people speak about that one moment of downtime like it is a disaster, which obviously you guys think it is, right? And I'm sure your customers don't want it either. But I think that level of standard that you hold yourselves to is really key, and that's what we think in Tech on Toast should be how everyone should behave around product, right? That real, like an operator would, have that really standard of high work that applies to everybody they work with. I think it's great.
Thank you, sir. Well, tech, when you're a Grub Tech customer, you don't need to worry about tech. That's what I tell our people, and that's what I tell. I mean, we're not your point of sale, so unfortunately, I can't extend my arm to help you with a pause. You'll have to go back to that. But everything else, you should just rely on us, and that's what we're really good at, and that's what we like to stand for: our customer service, our uptime, and our efficiency.
Love that. And obviously, we talked a little bit there about data and reporting. I think, again, with the enterprise guys, but not just the enterprise guys, everybody needs some kind of reporting, and that they get that from the aggregators in different places. But you, again, dragging all that information through the API and through the different integrations you've got, are you able to display, I suppose, how wide can they look at the data? How much, because everyone has data now, but how relevant is it?
Every piece of information that flows through our pipes is available to you as a customer. We try to visualize it in the best way so that you don't have to spend more than the rule for us and our data team is 3 seconds. If I can't look at a dashboard and within 3 seconds understand my business, you guys built it wrong. You either gave me too much and I'm lost, analysis paralysis, or you didn't give me enough. I have to kind of dig in. And 2 days ago, Chris, I was sitting with one of our largest customers, and he was moaning about his inability to see his food aggregator disputes. Okay, so that means basically for your listeners, or our listeners, is saying how many orders were disputed by my customers for either food being delivered cold or missing items, or you asked for no pickles and I sent you a burger with pickles, right?
Yes.
And to be honest with you, because we're not operators, right? We don't operate our own kitchens. We don't operate our restaurants. We never really understood how big of a problem this is until I started to dig deep. It's huge. Yes. Okay, it's super huge. I mean, we're talking 20 to 30% of your digital orders potentially being under dispute here, right? Yeah. And then so we went and ran over to the food aggregators and said, hey guys, what are you guys doing about this? They're like, if you can help, please let us know. And I'm like, what do you mean? They're like, we have, fraud. These are people that, it's the end of the month, it's before payday. You just really want that pizza, and I'll just make the claim. Sad, but true. So I'm like, okay. I went back to the guy and I said, show me how you look at these disputes. I was floored. I mean, 3-4 screens for Deliveroo, another couple of screens for, Company X or Uber Eats and this. And it's not that the food aggregators are bad. On the contrary, we love them. They're doing a great job. But the user has to touch multiple portals, right?
Yeah,
in order for him to, and then you still don't have the big picture, right? So I was floored. And for those who are listening, call us in 2 weeks. I've got a solution for this. Because I kid you not, Chris. If I was sitting behind my desk right now, I'd show you my white wall. It's got writings and drawings all over it, and I was like, we got to solve this for them. This can't keep going. This can't keep happening. And it's a new product that's under the works. But this is the kind of thinking that we're having around restaurateurs' problems.
I love that, and I think that's the reality. Is often with tech, understanding the pain points of the restaurants. I love you have a wall of pain on your whiteboard. I love that. But like understanding the pain they have. I was one of those guys, right? And you would literally spend. I'd have a general manager. I think it was in Liverpool, and she used to spend probably an hour and a half at the end of her shift each day, just chasing down missed orders, missed items. Often it was cans of Coke, really simple drinks that were either missed or lost or fraudulently taken. It's a huge problem, and I think sometimes just uncovering that information is super important. And I think finding a route where you can get the operators through one touch point potentially to, or 1 or 2 clicks just to go and get the resolution, and for the aggregator is huge. And I think I will ring you back in 2 weeks. Please do. Like there's 100 developers somewhere working really hard on this.
They are.
And you mentioned you're moving into different regions, and right at the start we were talking about offices, and I was saying you're based over there, but you've got, and you're coming to the UK, right? Because I was talking to Gus. I know you've already been here on and off, but
Yeah, we are. We are. So we just opened our office in Barcelona, which is designed to be European HQ. So it will service everything in the European continent. It was opened in April. We've got, amazing team members there already. My co-founder is actually there as we speak. And our next pit stop is the UK. And, by way of those who are listening and would love to learn more about me, Grub Tech, the company, our customers, stop by the Hospitality Tech event on October 15th week. I believe it's the biggest, Chris, right? In Europe?
Yeah, we will be there.
Right?
We will be there. Yeah, it's 2
Okay.
days, and it's out of the 3 big ones they do. I think it's the best one. So,
okay. Yeah. We won't tell the others.
No one's going to hear that. So yeah,
no,
it's there's another good one in March next year, but they do like 3 across the autumn. But yeah, it's probably the most relevant for what you guys do, obviously. So it says what it does in the tin, right? But yeah, so you'll have a UK. Will you be over, Mo? Will we see you?
I will be. I am a speaker on the event, so I'm going to be geeking out with you guys on stage for a bit. But me and my team will be manning our booth right towards the entrance of the hall. So please stop by if you guys are there.
And I'm interested to know what's it like going to the different regions, because you're probably going to tell me the problems are the same. But is it? Yeah, really. So is the challenge the same in terms of tackling them, or are the nuances in each? I don't want you to go into detail in each region, but is it pretty much broad brush?
Yeah, look, so the one stepping stone that we always need to make sure we have a strong handle on is our integrations, right?
Yeah.
So point of sale solutions in the UK are very different than the ones in Portugal, are very different than the ones in Germany. There are unified ones like Aloha, Mycross, everybody knows them. Lightspeed, Square, but then there are local heroes, right? That the customers have tried, used, and are quite happy with. So we need to always, before we tackle a market, understand what the point of sale landscape looks like, and how do we do a good job meeting these partners, integrating with their technologies, and making sure we have that symbiotic relationship together. So that's kind of the prerequisites, how we laid it out. But as far as the business problems, man, they're identical. I haven't met a restaurateur who's laid into us a problem that I'm like, oh, wow, that's specific to Japan. I've never heard of that before. One of the things that excites us the most about getting out of the Middle East is, I don't know if the listeners know this, but the Middle East is, on the forefront of digitization of F&B, has been, and I think will always be. We have the highest order per capita in the world. If you look at, Delivery Hero's footprint, with Food Panda, Rappi, and all the rest of the stuff, you'll see Talabat, which is their local subsidiary here, and Hunger Station in Saudi, always the shining stars of any of their financial reports, the fastest growing, and so on and so on. And I think it's a young population, and, we obviously have a very high smartphone penetration. And Dubai is not London, right? It's much smaller. It's easy to get bikes around and deliver to. So there's a lot of convenience elements in there. So we see problems, I think, before the rest of the world does. Virtual brands and.
And someone was telling me Saudi is really exciting. In fact, the way they're investing in the digital infrastructure. Is that right?
Oh, 100%. 100%. And if you zoom out outside of hospitality as just tech, you'll see a tremendous amount of capital going into artificial intelligence and into chip making, into attracting the talent from all over the world to come into this part of the world to kind of innovate and come up with new cool stuff. So we've got a saying in house that we're super proud to be local, and we're incredibly privileged to be international. So it's the best of both worlds. I can't have asked for a better outcome.
I love that. And before I let you go, I need to talk to you about AI because obviously over here, it's like you've seen different use cases pop up in different, actually more in the people space, weirdly. We've seen it more in terms of getting teams information quicker, RAG bots, all this kind of stuff. What are you guys going to, obviously you're probably utilizing it already, but what does the future look like in terms of AI with Grub Tech?
Yeah, so we launched the product on Monday. I'm not plugging it because it's still beta-ish, but I hope it gets everybody excited.
Has it got a name?
It does. It does, and it has a landing page.
Yeah, Gus told me what the name was, but I forget.
G Scout. Okay.
G-Scout,
and by the way,
yes.
And for those who are listening and wondering why I'm laughing maniacally, is that naming products when you build them is one of the hardest things I've had to go through. It really is a difficult challenge. It's like naming a child, and it's you never get two people that align on it. But anyways, G Scout.
Who makes the final decision, Mo? Is it you?
No, because I have absolutely no creativity in me. I think, zero.
Let's not go down that. That's a rabbit hole. No.
No.
But tell me, what does it do, or what will it do once it's fully out?
So what we did today is we basically grabbed all third-party available information, legally above board, nothing crazy, and we consolidated. So we scraped Google Maps, we scraped weather patterns, we scraped traffic, we scraped airline traffic, we scraped telecom traffic, everything that is available, that is legal to access, that would be relevant to the hospitality world. We brought in and we put it in a box, and then we've exposed that in a meaningful way. So you can open up and say, "Hey, I want to." See what Chris Burgers is doing around my neighborhood. And I'll go in, I'll search for Chris Burgers. It'll show me all your locations across all the cities that you're currently in. It'll show me your menus. It will tell me if you're running any promotions, if you'll tell you if you've been snoozed. So anything and everything that you need to understand on your competitive analysis and the city that you operate in is within finger clicks. Okay. Super, super fast and almost in real time. And I say almost is because we can make it real time, but I'm still experimenting. Is
that down to that 0.1% from 2020?
Exactly. I'm like, why are we fighting over 3 minutes, guys? Okay.
3 seconds.
I know, but I don't want to lie to your audience and tell you it's real time. But what's really exciting for us is we sit on a lot of data, right? And we're in 20 markets. So I get to see
I always said this about you guys, the people who said, I don't want to call it middleware because I'm not sure that's the right name anymore because you do more than that. But I think you've always had that responsibility of a lot of data, right? Because you're sitting in the middle and seeing a lot of it. And I always wondered, how do you get that out in a meaningful way that can really help your users as well, which is obviously what you guys have been doing.
Exactly, Chris. First and foremost, GDPR compliant, ISO 27001 compliant. I did that before we touched a data product.
Okay.
I wanted to make sure that any of my engineers, product guys are abiding by what is international best practice, law, and keeping firewalls where they need to be, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Did that first. Okay, it took a good 4 or 5 months to make sure that we have the rigidity and we got audited by third parties and rubber stamp. Did that first, checkbox. Now our thinking is, how do we take that first party data, so Chris's sales from yesterday, and the fact that it was raining from 1 p.m. to 3 p.m., and the fact that his next door neighbor who also sells burger has put a 30% discount on his burger, and give you an actionable insight.
That's amazing.
What should you do? Right? And that's where it is. And because we are the glue of your stack, once the AI, and we call our AI model Genie, once Genie tells you, hey, Chris, I saw your reviews, everybody's raving about your milkshake. Why don't you add milkshake and a cookie to your burger combo and price it at X dollars? That'll give you this margin, and that will put you in a better position with your competition. And Chris says, you know what? Let me try it out. All you have to do, Chris, is say accept. And because your menus are hosted with Grub Tech, we're already integrated into your point of sale. We're already integrated into, bam, it's live.
You did sound like the genie then off Aladdin. Bam!
Of course, of course.
If I was cynical, I would say that was the name, where the name came from. Aladdin.
You never know, man. These guys make fun of me a lot behind my back, so you never know.
Look, I think it's super. That particularly is game changing, right? Because again, what we love here at Tech on Toast is products that can really change outcomes, right? And then we spent a lot of years running off my gut when I ran operational businesses, where I had a feeling, I knew what was coming. I could smell, this is gonna happen next week. But that was just from 20 years of experience and thinking things might happen. I still wasn't always right. And I think what you're doing is taking actual gut feelings when they wrote menus and when they did certain actions, and then using all of this data then to make really accurate, because they're going to be really accurate. It's based on what you've done, right, or what your competitors are doing. So you're not kind of in the wind having a guess here. This is pretty close to being perfect, and being able to kind of look at when it rains, knowing this might happen. When it rains every week on 1 o'clock, as you say, when it's raining at 1 o'clock on a Tuesday, this normally happens. Let's make sure we put this on to counteract that. That's just genius. And I think it just saves huge amounts of time and manpower sitting around a table working out what's going wrong. So yeah, kudos to you guys. I think it's great. I look forward to meeting Genie in the AI sense.
Well, I'll tell you another thing, and I'll tell you another thing. This morning, and I don't know what time zone this is going to be aired, but today is the 13th.
Oh, it's 9 a.m. on a Wednesday, so that you'll be in bed, I'm sure.
Okay, for sure. But today, OpenAI released their new model 1.0, right? April 1.0 or 1.0, I should say. And it's a game changer. It has the intelligence and compute capacity of a PhD, right? So I woke up this morning at 4:30 and I saw that news, and I picked up and I called my CTO and I said, "You saw it?" He's like, "We're on it, we're on it." and
I'm
it's
so
that
glad
kind
you're
of
not my boss.
no. They love it. They love it. We're geeks, man. We're
Hey,
absolutely
Chris,
geeks.
I'm in bed.
Funny, man. But yeah, so this thing is moving super fast, Chris, and obviously as the LLMs get smarter and smarter, we bring that straight back into hospitality. And think about having a bunch of PhD guys helping you run your business with your data and third-party data, and that's the holy grail for us.
I think it's the most exciting thing and it's funny because I always look at product, right? And you look at product from the past 5-10 years that's still very much in the UK, right? We've still got a lot of legacy. Well, it's not fair to say legacy, but some older tech still in the business, right? That are hanging around. And I think AI is going to absolutely change the game in terms of additional products to people like what Grub Tech are doing, but also these guys who start spinning up products quite quickly, who are starting from scratch, and the ability to reach market quicker seems like that's going to happen over the next 2 to 3 years. And I think that
guaranteed
the operator will always benefit because it's going to be quicker, smarter, leaner, so I think the operator will benefit. So watch this space. Super exciting. Look, I'll let you get, what time is it there, Mo?
2:30 p.m., sir. We're all right.
Okay.
We're all right.
2:30 p.m. So look, Mo, if people want to, before they meet you on October the 15th on your stand, do you know what your stand number is? I bet you don't, do you?
I don't.
I'll find it. I'll put it in the copy of the podcast. I'll make sure people know.
Please do.
And I'll release it before the show, obviously. But how do people get hold of you guys if they want to kind of have a quick chat and understand what's going on? And meet
Grubtech.com, Mohamed Fayed on LinkedIn. I'm happy to reach out to me directly on LinkedIn if nobody answers you, or if you have direct questions about me, or Grubtech.com. Fill out the form in the bottom. Somebody will call you back within 10 minutes, or I'll kill them.
Within 3 seconds. And if not, you'll get Genie. And the other thing I love about Grub Tech is that Gus, what's Gus's role? I don't even know.
He's our senior vice president of sales.
Senior vice president of sales. So he's a mad Liverpool fan. When I say a mad Liverpool fan, like he's obsessed.
He's nuts. He's got a tattoo. I get random WhatsApps off him just saying, "What? You never walk alone." That's it. Nothing else. Just occasionally, randomly go. So these guys are great people. They're good fun, and also their product is kicking ass. So if you're around the show on the 15th, come and meet Mo. I'm sure Mo's going to be in the UK a lot anyway, and Gus is going to be there as well, I hear. And if not, check them out in the marketplace or head over to grubtech.com. Thank you, Mo. Enjoy the rest of your day. I hope it gets a bit cooler for you because it's, what did you say it was? 40 degrees at 7 o'clock this morning. It's a little hot.
Yeah, it's not the same here, mate. I think we're 11 degrees and some rain.
I'll pack some jackets when I come over in October.
Oh, yeah. Please do that. That was Mo, everybody. And that was Grub Tech. Say bye-bye, Mo.
Take care, guys. Have a wonderful day. Take care.
Thanks, man.